Alright, I think I've done a couple videos where I showed some progress. I'll have to double check where I'm at. And I know I haven't posted some because there wasn't much of an update. And seen it before because I'm just reprinting things that I broke in my fall where I crushed R2, parts of R2. So here is the replacement skirt. There's just a couple places where I had some runs on a couple of the ribs and across these areas, and I sanded them down with 400 wet grit and resprayed them. I mean, you can't, unless you're right on the thing, you're not going to be able to see anyway. Satin white doesn't really show small imperfections. But the skirt has now been drying for, geez, I don't know, a month. And it feels to me to be completely dry, so that's good. The big news, if I pan up past my garage full of stuff, is these. Now, these are the parts that freaked me out the most. I thought for sure I was going to ruin these when I painted them, because they are, let me bring one down. They are the largest blue parts on R2D2. And the blue paint, all paints, but the blue paint especially, gives me fits with runs because I'm too impatient. And of course, I can hold this in the sun, but I can't see my camera because it's so light out here. So hopefully you can see that. It's not 100% perfect. A little bit too much paint in a couple areas and not quite enough in some of the others. Like, how do you get inside the little tiny rectangle areas? But that gets painted silver. You'll also notice there is no silver and there's no masking. I decided that I'm going to paint the silver after it's dried for at least a month on top of the clear coat. Hopefully that's not a terrible idea. I couldn't really think of a reason why that wouldn't work. I will need to, in fact, I forgot to do that, spray some clear on a test piece and let it sit for a couple weeks and go over it with a paint pen. I have some of the blue paint that I went over with a silver paint pen, and it looks fine. So I'm hoping that I can use paint pen or paintbrush and then just mask off the clear coat instead of painting the silver and then masking the silver, painting the blue, and then pulling the masking off and hope you're not lifting the blue. So again, apologies because I'm filming this on my phone and the sun is behind me, but not 100% perfect, but not totally screwed up like I was thinking it would be. So this is multiple coats of the blue. The Ford Sonic Blue Pearl. And then multiple coats of clear. Of course, the label is not facing me right now. And multiple coats of clear. So hopefully there's not too much paint. I mean, there is too much paint. There's a couple areas like the tops of these, the triangle bits, where painting the sides, it oversprays onto the triangle bits, and then painting down below the triangle bits, those triangle bits get even more paint. So there's a little bit more paint than I wanted there, but it seems to be okay. It seems like they should be fine. And if they just dry the way they are now, then I will be perfectly happy with them. I think absolutely acceptable. Yeah, the trick is just hoping, fingers crossed, because there's so many layers of paint. Took me, I don't know, just going light coats, trying not to go too heavy on the blue, and then let it sit for about 15 minutes, and then took the clear coat to it, which is what I did with my other blue parts that turned out nice. So yeah, this update is basically just because as long as these dry and look the same as they do right now hanging up, this is like a huge load off my mind, and major accomplishment, just because, as I said, these things have been ready to paint since last year. I got them done just before the weather turned, and I was literally too afraid to paint them. I was sure I was going to completely screw them up and have to sand all the paint off and start over again. But today, this is the first day where it's supposed to get up to 80 degrees this year. It's not that high yet. It's the afternoon right now, but I figured this is it. This is the perfect day. So the other thing I have gone over before is, why are they on sticks? I took a couple scrap pieces of wood. I took 2 wood screws. I drilled 2 holes in the sticks, put them on top of the back side of the booster covers, and then drilled through the booster covers. So what I end up with is the wood screws going through the wood, and then there's a nut on each of them to make a gap between the wood and the part. And I just find it much easier to paint things like this that have multiple angles, right? It's easier to get in between the 2 legs for me if I go through the back, and that way any runs would be on the back, which is exactly what happened. There's a bunch of clear coat runs on the back as I'm shooting in at an angle trying to get inside of here, which if I had just laid this flat and tried to paint it, there would have been runs on the inside and possibly on the tops of the legs. So holding the stick, I can just hold it at whatever angle. I can get the sun on it so I can see what I'm doing and paint up from the back to get those parts. And then hold the thing like this when I'm painting the sides. So if I do get a little too much paint, it won't immediately run to the bottom or the top. It'll have a little while to try and settle out before turning into a run. So hold it, do the one side, and then just let it flash dry for a bit. And then hold it like this, do the top, same thing, hold it for a while, and then the same thing, hold it so I can get this side. So whatever side I'm painting is horizontal. Whereas if you did it when it's lying on cardboard or whatever, then you're trying to shoot in those corners and over the top, and it works better for me to hold it. So that's what I came up with. That's how I did it. You don't see the back, so it doesn't matter that there's 2 holes. The wood screws only go maybe halfway through this, so they're not breaking anything. Just 2 small holes in the back. And I had to do 2 because these are low infill parts. So when I just screwed one, it was swiveling. So I had to do 2, so it's just enough pressure to hold it and keep it from swinging as I'm moving the stick around. So wherever I move the stick, it's always going to be pointing the same way that it's mounted. So as I said, I think I've gone over that before, but I was glad that I came up with that technique. I can't remember what part it was that I did that to before, but these are the same sticks I used then. So it was another blue part that I can't remember at the moment. But yeah, it worked perfectly.